I just think that from the moment she saw me, her heart was beating.
My heart did a beat come your life.
I begin to.
Hey guys.
Welcome to this week's episode of Mr. and Mrs. Robdon.
Couples Corner.
Alright, where God is best for you and your partner. Alright, so this week we are going to be talking on the topic. I believe that it can be useful to persons who are thinking about getting married, and definitely useful for those of us parents who are preparing to mentor our children along the pathway. So the topic we're looking on is, how do I know that I, as a man, is ready for marriage? And how do you know, as a woman, that you are ready for marriage? How do you even know, as a woman, that the man that you're about to choose, or to say I do too, is actually ready for marriage? Now, honey, you know, I grew up where we expected that we would have had Mrs. Right and Mr. Right. Like, you know, for a while I thought that there was somebody whose name was actually Mrs. Right. And so I remember how I used to sit down and formulate how my wife would look.
The list.
The long list. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, men. That was how we used to, you know, conceive the idea of who our partner would be. You know, I remember only where, you know, as we set up our expectations, what we realized that there were a lot of persons who sometimes end up in that particular meeting the criteria on that list. And so one of the things is that breathe what I call chaos and confusion. And so we had to do, you know, when we speak with our friends, it's as if we were juggling to see what. It's like you're checking off to see who is right and who is wrong. Yeah, but tell us, how did you and your partner meet? How did you know that that young lady was the lady, was Mrs. Right? And how did you know that that young man was Mr. Right? Honey, what was it like on your side as a young lady? How did you know that I was going to be your Prince Charming?
Well, we shared the story before. I was not ready for that yet. I mean, I was still young.
You know, I just think that from the moment she saw me, her heart was beating.
My heart did a beat come your life.
Yeah, but you mean a little emphasis never depend the heart.
Alright, let me be honest with you. So when he came, I was like shocked. Like, I'm like, who's this guy? He just stand up and look for me, so.
Yeah.
And the name Nicholas rang in my mind, but I wasn't sure. So I said to him that I don't want to say a wrong name, so you tell me what your name was. Because we met some years ago while we were, well, I was trying to see contribution. If you didn't see the Valentine's special that we did, I was seeking contribution for church. And
ladies,
he so happened to...
Ladies, maybe y'all need to be more faithful to God, you know. You know, you see when you get that little rally card, where are those people from Jamaica? Oh, you get that little rally card. Yeah, and the little black drive.
Yeah.
You know, maybe what you need to do is to really walk around and beg money for real. For certainly the Bible says, if you are faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many things. So she not only got money. Well, she never get no money.
I didn't get any money. I got a number.
She get number and man.
But I didn't call the number.
Husband and
So I'm going to be really honest. When he came, you know, as young girls growing up, the popular saying, you know, I want to have a tall, dark, and handsome guy.
Yeah, that's.
So when he
Alright.
came, I must admit he's not bad looking. So when he came, I was like, who is this guy and whatever.
Hold on. I say
At that time, I honestly wasn't interested in a relationship. I had just finished community college and was going on to UWI.
Right.
So I was very young.
Exactly.
Very young. That was the least on my mind. I've never had a boyfriend before. At that time, I was so much out of this puzzle fixing and hunting. I am kind of one of them weird ones. I was not really into the long list. I know I wanted somebody who was going somewhere, somebody who had a vision, somebody who was somewhat in a position where they could lead.
Right. So there we go. So she was a college student. In fact, a first year university student, basically just out of high school. Amen. And I mean, amen. Basically, she would not be the person with the long list, but you could tell that she was at a place that she was probably saying, I was not ready for marriage. So how did she know, right, that she was actually meeting the right person, a person that she could actually build a life with? How did I know? This was a young, fresh, green young lady. Yeah, first year in university. How did I know that I wanted to settle down with her as my partner? I like to think about marriage as building a structure, building a house. Now, when you're building a house, nobody just decide one day that I want a house, and you wake up tomorrow morning and there's a house, right? There are steps that you have to put in place in order to acquire that house. So, contrary to what a lot of persons might advise and think about a marriage as just being the Cinderella, happy, exciting kind of union, I realized from early that a marriage was more of like building something together. Now, in order to build a building, one of the first things that a person needs is a plan. Now, a man may come to you and he doesn't have the house, because there are a lot of ladies who have this long list on it, that if the man doesn't have a house, if he doesn't have a car, doesn't have
money
education, they will not consider the person. Can I just insert quickly that our first date was at KFC, Kentucky,
and it was free
fried chicken.
From our pocket. It wasn't our expense.
And we couldn't even buy the chicken. So somebody really sponsored us that KFC. And do you know that the only place that we could afford to date for our first couple months in courtship was actually at KFC.
That was like the most exotic restaurant that we could afford to go at the time.
Right. So it's not like you just end up with a house, but you should have a plan to have the house, if you understand what I'm saying. So don't think about a marriage being just perfect today. Oh, I'm just going to say I do, and we're going to live happily ever after. One needs to have a plan. So if I could advise any young man who is thinking about getting married and thinking about pursuing a young lady, and you want to know if you're ready for marriage, my first question is, do you have a vision? Do you have a plan? right? What is it that you hope to achieve? What are you working towards in the next 10 years? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I remember when my pastor, my then pastor, Bishop Owen Reed, the first time I mentioned or I asked him about, how do I know that I am ready for marriage? And one of the first things that he asked me was, do you own a bed? And I mean, that got home to me so much. I mean, I did not even realize how much planning was relevant. I was there wondering, or thinking that, perhaps it's time for me now to get married. But I didn't have a bed. I didn't have a single plate. So if I should get married now, what are we going to eat out of? Now, we might not have the plate only, but do I have a plan of how I'm going to get the plate? Am I thinking about borrowing plate from next door? And so it's very important that we have a careful plan, a vision, something that I visualized, and this is what I have. So I want to say to a young lady who has the choice now to decide, whether to give herself to a young man, one of the first things you should be looking at is not what the person necessarily have now,
right,
but what's the vision?
Where is the person going?
Where is it going?
Somebody that is going to be progressive.
Yes.
Somebody who you can, readily support the vision. I can look at our relationship. When we started out, we were both in school at the time. He was working part-time in the army. We never had it.
We never had it.
We never had it.
Straight up, I never had anything. I was just a young man with just an ambition. I had in mind something that I thought a family would look like. I have in mind a plan that we're going to own our own home, we're going to have our own vehicle, we're going to have a family. I had an idea of what my marriage should look like, but I did not have it together at the time. And so if my wife was judging me based on what I had then, right, then peradventure I would have got canceled, checked off or crossed off that list a long time ago. So one of the things I want to say to a young man, you have a responsibility to have a vision. Now when God made Adam and Eve in the garden, he gave him dominion over all the creatures in the garden. Adam was in charge. Adam had something that he was working towards. So when God made the woman Eve to be a helpmate, which is translated in Hebrew to actually mean a supporter, you see, what happened now is that because he had a vision, then the woman had something to support. I want to say to you that some of the marriages that I have listened to and listened to the struggles that people have is because the man doesn't have that outgoing spirit, doesn't have that vision. He doesn't know what he's trying to accomplish. And so sometimes what happens is that the woman now has to take the head, take the lead. A man was created to lead, but the truth is, brothers, is if you don't have a vision, then the woman cannot stay there and perish. She has to follow after something. And so one of the things you want to make sure is that you have a vision. If you have a vision and you have written it according to Habakkuk 2:2, you write out the vision, make it plain, right, on tablets, right? That is speaking about putting together your 10-year vision, your 5-year plan, what you're trying to accomplish. Then now comes a Daniel in the midst. And Daniel now is able to say to me, okay, honey, I remember when I thought that it was best for us to buy a house before a car. My wife would say, all right, but it would be more reasonable and practical and sensible for us to go the route of the vehicle first. So what she did was to come to help me to accomplish my vision. Now a woman is supposed to be that supporter. So now, how does a woman know that she has found the right person? Do you know what his vision is? Are you willing to support that vision? Right? Do you feel that conviction that within me, when I look at this young man, right? And I see where he's going. I see place for me in order to actually grow. Submit, right? And to support a vision. So the first thing that any young person need to have, as a young man, you need a vision.
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish?
But you see, look at the importance. We can look in society. If you check any business,
Yes, there is
even the church,
There's
there
a
is
vision.
a vision statement.
every successful business.
Yes,
Have-
there is a vision statement. If there is no vision statement, then the business will not have a goal. The staff will not have anything to work towards. So we have to have a vision. And one of the things I appreciated about our relationship is that while I came from a more privileged background than he did, because he had to work hard for a lot of like what he accomplished in the latter part of his years in education. But for me, I had the support of both my parents. So when I met him, like a lot of persons would not see him as the ideal person, the Mr. Right, the perfect one for me, because
Yes.
he did not have that status that would wow, those who would, oh, who is he? Oh, that's so cute, But there was something that I saw that went beyond the physical, went beyond what I knew he possessed, went beyond what I knew he came from. And that was the place where he was going. And so one of the things that we did, even when we were praying and, going through the whole courtship thing, well, even before courtship, because
Right.
he always said to me that, Daniel, you're my wife, even before we got engaged. So we would always, even in that period, while praying and, doing our regular ministry, we would always find time to plan, talk about things. We never have discussions that were not going anywhere.
Yeah.
What we had were discussions that were fruitful. What are you looking forward to? What are some of the things that you would like to have? At what time you'd want to achieve this? So we had some progressive plans.
Yes.
And that is what, as women, we need.
Yes.
If you're courting now, madam,
Yeah.
and you are realizing that there is no vision, then it means that you're going to crash.
Yes, somewhere along the line. Even as you mentioned that, honey, some of the conflict my wife and myself would have had, and when I say conflict, because I want people to understand that conflict is actually healthy.
Yeah.
Every time when my wife and myself disagree over something, when we actually come to work out the solution to it, right, we would have gained from the disagreement. So I want to let you know that, disagreement helped to make us where we are. Now, one of the things I realized in this marriage is that when we would have had issues or disagreement, because there is a vision, there's always something to go back to. Now, if you think about a person building a house, they can always go back to the plan. So
plan,
in
right.
case the wall was leaning, in case they put a window where there wasn't a window, they can always go back to the vision. A lot of marriages are struggling today, honey, and that's because there's nothing to go back to, because there was actually no vision. Can I just take the time on here, people, to tell you that on our honeymoon, the first thing we did on our honeymoon was to kneel down at our bedside and wrote a 10-year plan together. And because we had that plan, we would have accomplished every single thing and more in 4 years of marriage. In 4 years of marriage. So as my wife said earlier, it wasn't where I was. It wasn't my present, because my present was immature. My present, I was troubled. I was still healing from my past and my history, my social background, right? It was not where I was. And I'm just taking this time to say to some young ladies on here that sometimes we don't want to consider certain men because of where they are. I wanted to tell you that the next time when you go on a date, what you should be busily asking a man rather than asking him what his favorite color and asking a man, you know, what he likes and all these things. What you need to be asking that man is, what is your vision? Where are you going? All right, where are you going? Because if you're not going anywhere, I cannot follow you. You see, anytime there is marriage and the persons know where they're trying to go, even if they end up rerouting, that's why we have a GPS. Even if you end up passing where you're going, the GPS will reroute you. I want to tell you that it is your plan, it is that vision that will reroute the union every time you come up on a bump, every time you come up on certain trouble. Every single time that you're in your dung valley, it is always going to come back. Why did we start this journey? Where are we trying to go? Right? So write that vision and make it plain.
And another thing too is some men might have a vision, but although they're dating, the vision doesn't clearly include the woman.
Oh yeah, well,
you want to ensure
that the vision
includes you.
Yes.
You
Ask
know?
the right questions.
Right.
Because, on a very good point. Because a man will be here, he wants to become the millionaire. Listen how he speaks. That's something I learned from Mr. Bro. You know, and I would learn it because he would be telling my wife that is what she's supposed to look for. Who does he talk about? When he speaks, does he say we, our, or does he say I and me? And is it all about me? Is it all about where am I going, or is it about where we are going? Make certain that as you interview in that early stage, because you don't want to waste your time. If you're going behind a man, he must be going somewhere, and you must like where he's going, and you must see that he includes you, and you must also see how you can help him to realize that vision. Now, another very important point, and this is going to be our last point for this week. We'll continue to share, but this is going to be our last point. Now, not only does a company have a vision statement, or the successful company have a vision statement, but they have a mission statement. So vision is your plan, where you hope to go, and mission is how you're going to get there.
Right.
No, you may not have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, but you must have an idea that, all right, in 3 years, all right, we have been courting for the last 1 year. At the end of the 1 year, I am working towards getting married. Right. At the end of that 1 year, we are working at you going back to university, you empowering yourself, and then I am going to go to university, and we're going to try to do it concurrently. Then we are going to work towards getting an employment, getting the job. Then we're going to try and get a house. You know, there must be a mission. There must be how you are going to, the practical steps that you're going to take. So don't just sit down there and just talk about, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah. It's not going to just come. It's like having, you'll hear people say, I need a job. I'm trusting God for a job.
But you never applied for a job.
But they never applied for a job. Yes, it's good to have the vision, but if you never make one step towards that vision, how is it
that you're going to get
that you're going to achieve it?
Yeah.
So you need the mission.
Right. You have no subjects. You want a better paying salary. Right? But you have not gone back to school. You have not tried evening school. You have not tried to gain 2 extra subjects. What are you doing? What active steps do you have? So don't just have a man sit there in a date and lure you with all the things, babes, you look good, and your body this and listen, all of those, you know, you'll find another girl with a body look good or look better. Right? You know, so that's not what you want. Too many young ladies are sitting down only and waiting to be wowed by a man. You must understand this, that, you know, and this is also how a young lady knows that she's ready for marriage. She is a package that is waiting. Why? The Bible says, he that findeth a wife. The Bible says, who find a girl or a woman or a lady, but he that finds a wife, it means a package that is sitting down and waiting. So when you're a package getting ready to be taken off the shelf, you have no time wasting with a man just telling you how you look good and that's all he has to offer. Telling you that, this is what I hope to do, but the man is not making any actual step. So I just want to encourage you that a man must have a vision and he must have a mission. He may not have it all together, right? The vision might not be very clear. I remember when I was saying to my wife, honey, I want a family. I want us to be comfortable, but I was not able to adequately define what comfort should look like. Why? Because I'm limited. I'm not yet living in the future, right? But I know that I deserve to have something that works and something that is good, but it wasn't all that clear. That's why it's called a vision, right? It's not reality. It starts out with a dream, an idea. But guess what? As you get closer to the dream, as you get closer, things start to become clearer, right? And so I want to make sure I say to a man, make sure you have a vision. Woman, any man you're going to say yes to, ask him what is his vision. The first time of dating and that period that you're using for courtship is trying to find out, does this man have a vision? Is it worth investing in? Right? Is this a Ponzi scheme? Am I wasting my time? If you're wasting your time, you need to move on. Right? I am not saying that the man is going to have everything together, and I hope that you're not getting that, because I never had it together. But honey, we married. We couldn't pay for nothing at the wedding.
Well, that is for the next video. So if you want to know how we ended up with that big wedding,
259 people
that we had, stick around for the next video. But this is very important, ladies. This is very important, men. Yes. We have to bear these things in mind. It makes no sense we enter into something. It's nice, and this is something that a lot of women and young ladies, even in the church, you grow up and the perfect guy with this long list has all the things that as a person you'd want to achieve. So you expect to have somebody who is ready done, put on, and you can just go and have it easy. A lot of persons aren't willing to put in the work, aren't willing to make sacrifices. I remember when we started out, we made several sacrifices. Whether we never eat
overnight rice and peas.
Whether
Sunday, Monday,
and not all the time
Sunday,
we had
Tuesday,
the food.
Sunday, Wednesday, and sometimes Sunday, Thursday.
We walked. We used walking as exercise. Okay, I'm going to be healthy. I need to keep fit. So we walked and we took pleasure in walking to
drink
places.
Water.
When we were in Mona, we had a lot of struggles, and I think what allowed us to push through was because even when I was like, oh my God, this is so much, he would always say, listen, these are just a couple of years, and once we achieve these, then we'll be able to relax. And so the other day he said to me, because we just migrated, and he said, I was like, I really need to get out there again and start working in the classroom or wherever I choose to go. And he was saying to me, just to remind me, Daniel, remember when we were sacrificing and putting all that we had out there. Know that we've achieved so much. It's not time to really go hustle bustle, but let us slow down a little bit and relax and enjoy what God has been doing in our lives. Because let me tell you, if persons saw where we were coming from, they would never imagine. And then a lot of times people will share their story with me and they're like, understand, because you've never been there, you haven't gone through it. But even today, there are things that, you know, people think that we have it all, but God has been sustaining us. And I think the fact that we started out with that plan, that vision, and we not only had the plan, but on paper we put, you know, a target. We had steps
mission,
that were going to help to guide us into achieving those things. I remember when we were married, that persons looked at us. One person looked at Love and said, look at you, you know, have nothing. You know, one lady looked at me and said to me that, you know, you are not a wife, you're not a woman until you have your own place, because at that time we left Mona because it was so expensive, and we decided that, here what, we're going to start seeing if we could. And that's the thing, we had to go to my parents' house, and the money that would pay for rent, we started to kind of like put it aside in portions to work towards owning our own home. So the person was aware of that situation, and for a moment I felt embarrassed. I felt like, oh my God, I feel defeated. It is so important that you don't look at what persons are pointing finger and saying. It doesn't matter how discouraging it seems. Work with your plan. Stick to the plan and go towards achieving. Use your mission statement and work towards that goal.
All right, so you know, we'll continue this another time, but just want to remind your people, just I mean, what matters is the vision the man has. And ladies, is it a vision you can work with? Is it a vision that you can actually help him with? And then, does he have some steps, a mission, how he's gonna get there? He may not have it all together,
but you can help him.
But there must be an idea.
Yeah.
Now, once he has that, then it's your time to step up your game and to help. You know, for interest of time in this video, I'm gonna stop here. But I can tell you that I am what I am today. Those vision are those plans, those dreams are realized because I had the right vehicle, the right partner who would stand by me. And even when I got discouraged, you know, she could always remind me, but this is our vision. This is what we're trying to get. This is where we're trying to go. I am telling you that if a marriage is going to be successful, there needs to be a vision, and then there needs to be a mission. Until next time, next week, it is. Guys, see you next time. All right, have yourself a wonderful week, and of course, tune in again to the Couples Corner, where we'll share some other interesting steps that we have learned. Also, remember to follow us on Facebook and on Instagram at Reason with Rabdan, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Reason with Rabdan.